later, not sooner. We've had a very successful year in 2021 for you and for the debtors who owe local units of government. It was our largest year. We had the most number. We had over 11,000 offsets this year, which is a huge amount of offsets. That's up over 2,000 from last year. So we're excited about the program. We anticipate it growing even more. But I want to share my screen here, maybe. I practiced this yesterday and hopefully it will work. And see and show you just some of the things that we have done. Okay.
Girl have a face on her.
I know.
Don't do that.
She keeps making weird faces.
Can everyone see my screen? Oops.
Yep.
Okay, Spencer or Danielle, I don't know what I just did, but something's not right here.
I can see your screen. Okay, if you click the presentation down at the bottom right, you're good to go.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay, so you can see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so for 2021, we had a pretty outstanding year. We had over 120,000 records sent in by the multiple agencies. There's a list of the different agencies that send in those files. We had 18 treasurers all the way down to 10 special districts that are participating in the program.
18 treasures.
Well, those are specific treasurers.
Those are county, 18
Yeah.
county treasurers.
County
treasurer, like at the courthouse.
Yeah, those are county
That's all
treasurers.
they do is
Not
treasury.
city clerk treasurers. Those are county treasurers.
There's
Are you in the town? of
city or
Florida?
town, yeah,
Okay.
probably.
So then
Yeah. She hasn't been there.
from those 120, Danielle, can you mute the one that's talking? There's somebody that needs to mute,
Yeah. If you're
if you would, please. So from those 120,000 records, we matched at these are the numbers that I think are so important to all of you. We matched over $12 million worth of debt at the Department of Revenue. Of that $12 million, $6 million of it was eligible at the time of offset, meaning that $6.3 million came into your local units from our debtors where they paid no additional fee. So we collected half of that money from the program, from the match, and the users didn't have to pay any additional fee. Of the 6 million that was eligible for offset, those people who didn't come in and pay, 2.4 million was actually offset at the Department of Revenue and sent out to those 120 different units of government. Does anybody have any questions on that? You'll need to unmute if you have a question.
You can hit presentation mode
And see it all. Oh, I can't because my mouse won't work right. Okay, so in the 2021 year, we want to kind of let everyone know just how successful we were. And we're going to go through some of our top people. So as for county treasurers, these are our top 3 county treasurers. and the amount that was offset by them. Now, this again is just the offset amount. This is not the amount that came in and paid through the door. So Vigo County, our top one was Marion County, obviously it's the largest county, so that makes sense. Then we had Vigo County and Kosciuszko County were our top three counties and the amount that was offset by them this year. And I think all three of those treasures are on board. If any of you want to have any comments about your process. Rhonda, I see you.
Yes, this year it was very rewarding to collect that amount of money for the towns and, you know, the cities and the county. This was the easiest year I think I've had since I've been on board.
Yeah. Thanks, Rhonda. Rhonda's been on board since the second year. And for those county treasurers out there who have signed up and might be new, Rhonda has a plethora of information and has worked with a couple of other county treasurers to help them with some best practices to make it streamlined and a little bit easier for them. So if any of you later in the program, we'll have an opportunity for some questions and answers, and Rhonda's going to make sure she's available to answer any questions. So those are our top three county treasurers. These are the next three. Monroe County, Cass County, and Jennings County. And Cass County isn't a very big county. And that collection might be due partially to Rhonda because Rhonda really helped that new county treasurer out with that collection. So then we have some top county agencies. These are the departments within the counties that are using the program. Jefferson County Court Services, and that would be their probation and community corrections, brought in 32,000, and not far behind them is Clinton County Probation, brought in 24,000. And again, this is just the offset dollars and not the dollars that have come in from payment. So our cities and towns, we have the city of Indianapolis, and they have two different types of files that they send in. They have their delinquent files, and then they have a file for their parking violation, and those are separate. So that 573,000 is in fact two different sectors of the city of Indianapolis. And then we have the city of Huntington and the city of Fort Wayne. And the city of Fort Wayne, this was their first year to really get in the program. And so they decided to start small, which is what you can do if you're new to the program. Excuse me, they started small and didn't send all of their files in. And then each year they intend to grow. Our top school districts are MSD Wayne, which is in the southwest corner of Marion County. If you were at the School of Business Officials last week, Amy helped me give a presentation on her best practices and how she set up her program, and would be most willing to talk to any of the school corporations to assist them. And then we had real close together Lewis Cass Schools and Eastern Howard Schools. And again, those school corporations actually literally are fairly close together within the state, along with close together in their offset. For our fire and EMS, and it's actually the fire department, there is actually an EMS service. We have White River Township, which is Johnson County, just south of Marion County, and then the Clinton County EMS. And Clinton County is a rather average size county. They're a county of about 36,000, so they're pretty close to an average county. Not big, not small. In a special district, we had the Terre Haute Housing Authority, This was their second year in the program. They were very successful this year. And I want to say we do have checks that we will be bringing around to those different units to present to them that they can like set up on their wall or let their county organizations, county commissioners, the people in the community know how well they've done in keeping costs down by bringing revenue in. Danielle or Spencer, do you have anything you want to say at this point in time about those ones we've shown?
No, I
David?
just want to thank everybody for their participation. I know there's a lot of competition between the agencies to get their file in first and, you know, get the revenue going. So we appreciate your participation, and, you know, we're here if you need anything.
David, you want to say anything? You're muted.
This is Spencer Bridgers. I just wanted to also echo Danielle's words of thanks, and we're excited for next year. And Jackie's awesome, so we're very appreciative of all of her hard work and ownership of this program. And thanks so much.
Hey, this is Dave Baldorf. I'm Executive Director of the Association of Indiana Counties. I want to thank everybody for participating and calling in today. And we're just so proud of this program on multiple fronts, but it's because local units are all working together to create this singular file, and then us working with the state agency, Department of Revenue. This is really an efficient program, and because of the way we set it up and because of your all's participation, we're able to keep this fee really low, and that really benefits taxpayers. And that's what we're trying to do, is really help people get caught up on these public debts so that you don't have to go through a collection company, that you don't have to turn them over to a credit agency. So we're really proud of the program, and happy that we can provide this service to you all. And really, the ultimate goal here is really benefiting taxpayers. We're really saving them money with this efficiency. So again, thanks for your participation. And if you ever have questions, you can contact Jackie or I, or if you need us to do a presentation locally. And if you can just help us continue to spread the word, because we really do have to continue to grow the volume to help keep the fees down for all the work we do at the back end, as far as creating the file and looking up social security numbers and making sure we have a secure transfer of data between the Department of Revenue and you all. So thanks so much, and just looking forward to continue to working with you. And if you can help us spread the word about the efficiency of the program, we would appreciate it.
So we have a couple of new awards this year that we did. We had the Cleanest Data Award, and I'm not sure how our friends at NACO determined this, but I think it was the one that I really am not sure how they did it, but they were considered a most valuable participant, and it's presented to DeKalb County that they had the cleanest data when it came in. It was the least amount of work to scrub. And we had the highest county participation award, and I'm real proud of this county. This is my home county. We had 10 local agencies in Clinton County using the program this year to benefit all of us in Clinton County, keeping services going. We had all 4 schools. We had 2 of the small towns, the county treasurer, the probation department, the community corrections department, and the emergency ambulance service. So I'm real proud of the county, and I will say that part of this is due to the conversation that Vicki Bailey at Clinton Prairie Schools started the first year when she went on the program, how well she liked it. She let everyone in the community know, and the schools popped on, and then everybody started popping on. So real proud of my home county, Clinton County. So I guess that's kind of a challenge to the other counties, maybe. So here's our timeline, getting ready to start the new year. Our year, as you remember, runs from December 1st through September 1st, October 1st. And you remember that we have that 45-day window in there of when you can mail the letter and the debtor can come in to pay. So the Department of Revenue requires us to send brand new files in January. So we have a 45-day window in there where you have the ability to start cleaning up your files and getting ready for the next year, while any matches that happen in late September go through the process. We will be beginning to upload on the 1st of December. We've done some scrubbing and I think we're going to be ready to go. And then we'll start submitting files somewhere around the 15th of January to the Department of Revenue. That date tends to fluctuate a little bit. Should the Department of Revenue not start processing, if they give us a date, they're going to start processing later, we kind of hold off until they're close to processing. And then starting around the Martin Luther King holiday is when the normal refunds start getting processed at the Department of Revenue. We will start receiving matches and dropping match files into your portal on that weekly basis. The files will come into your portal sometime by 2:00 on Friday. And then that will start your 15-day window of getting the letters out. Speaking about the letters, we do have the letter service agreement. Should any of you want to participate in that, in about 2 weeks, I'll be sending out a new letter service agreement to everyone who has signed a memorandum of understanding. And if you want to participate, you simply need to sign it and send it back. We will bill the unit of government once a month for the letters that we send out. And on the day that the match file comes into your portal, PDFs of the letters that were sent will also come down into your portal. Beginning in February, we are going to ask that the agencies start updating their files on a weekly basis. And by the end of February, we'll be close to a point where we're working on the 35 days to receive the payment file. Here is the letter service. The cost is $2 and it's optional. I think last year out of the 120, we had about a third of the users choose the file, choose the letter service. For those of you who are new, the download files that you will get, which we call letter files, which are your matches, will be in both CSV format and Excel format. So if you're proficient with mail merge, you can do the mail merge there locally, or if you prefer to ensure that the letters go out very quickly, you can work with us and we'll send them for you. If anybody has any questions as we're going along, please stop and interrupt me, but we'll have questions at the end. I guess that's it. We are at the question session. So I requested that the new users look at the video if they had time, or at least go through the PowerPoint presentation and have some questions. We have Cynthia Barger, I think, is on the call with us today from Trust Indiana. Should you have questions about setting up your Trust Indiana account that you will need, Rhonda Helzer from Kosciuszko County Treasurer's Office, the treasurer, is on. I believe Amy Eaton from MSD Wayne is on to answer questions. Should any of you have questions concerning the program, especially those new users, and please ask them, because somebody else may be thinking the very same question.
I have a question.
Okay.
So in 2021, when someone had their refund withheld and we got the money, you said, don't take them out of the file, just change the amount owed to 0. So when we submit the files for 2022, the ones that were 0 for 2021, do we take them out or?
Yes, I would recommend that you clean those files up. That's kind of what this window's for. That way you don't have a lot of rows that you're looking at that are gone.
Okay,
We will ignore them if you miss one and it's in there, but I would recommend zeroing out all of your files that have a 0, or deleting all of the file rows that have a 0.
okay. And accounts that were in our 2021 file, if our plan is to run them through you guys one cycle, and at the end of September or October or whenever your thing quits, submit them to our collection agency.
Okay.
So
In that
As
case, you would have to start with an entire new file.
that's was my question. So there are things from accounts from last year that went through TRECS. We didn't get any kind of money from them. If we submit those to our collection agency, we just submit you a brand new file starting now.
Correct. If you've submitted those to your collection agency, you also need to remove those from your file,
Okay.
because we can't be collecting in 2 places.
Right.
Now, one thing, there's a lot of conversation at the State House and we don't know what it's going to look like, but if you haven't already submitted them, if they received a match last year and you got partial, you might want to leave those in, because chances are they're going to get another match. And then this year we are anticipating credits, that people will have larger refunds than in the past due to credits that the state is talking about giving each individual taxpayer out there due to the surplus. So that's something to think about.
Okay.
Jackie,
I have.
can I add on a little bit something to it. Hello, this is Sarah from Marion County Treasurer's Office. I've been with the program since the beginning. What we normally do in regards to collections, especially with judgments or mobile homes here in Marion County, is we normally would submit it to TRECS, and then by the end of TRECS is when we would essentially end up certifying to the collection agency. Now, when this time when we start submitting the file again, we would bring it back to office and continue collecting on it through TRECS until the cycle ends again, and we can then again send it back to collection. So you can do either or. You just cannot do both at the same time.
Right.
That's what I would recommend.
And I have one more question.
Okay.
They have, if someone gets their letter that they're being withheld and they dispute it, I guess we had last year where it was like the 25th day and they called and said they wanted to dispute it. I told her she had to do it in writing within 30 days. She ended up never coming in but if on the 25th day we get a letter that, they're wanting to dispute it, how do we stop or somehow temporarily stop you from withholding it until the dispute is settled?
If they dispute the letter and it's not done within the 45-day window, if it's not completed by the 45th day window, which is the advantage of getting that letter out quickly. If you've sent the letter out, you've still got it right away. You've still got a week or 2 to get that dispute completed. So if you can get them in and get the dispute taken care of before the 45-day window is up, then you would leave it alone. If it's not going to happen until after the 45-day window up, the only way to not offset it is to zero that out. So this again is a great question. and a great reason why getting that letter out on that very first day to give us an extra couple of weeks at the back end, then you shouldn't have a problem. You should be able to leave it in there and collect it. But if you don't get it done in the 45-day window, if you think that it could go in their favor, then you would have to zero it out in the file.
But if we zero it out and then later determine that we wanted to collect it, then we can't do it, right?
Well, their refund would be gone, right?
Right. Okay.
Hey, this is David. There's a couple questions in the chat box that I thought I'll just read them and you can answer. Do unpaid sewer liens or fees take any priority? These are enforceable by way of lien against the property in most cases, but not. We try to collect and are considering TRECS for that. So how does that work if they've already filed the lien on the property tax bill?
If
Treasurer.
they filed the lien on the property tax bill, it's there. It has to stay there. The county treasurer has to be paid, and unless there's an error, that lien can't be removed. The fees are there, but those fees, well, they're there. I mean, they're there and as far as property tax collection, that's kind of a county treasurer, and every county does it different, how they apply payments when they come in to the treasurer's office. So that sewer lien, my suggestion would be to run the sewer lien through TRECS first before you put it on the property. Because once it's on the property, it's there and it can't be removed until it's paid.
Jackie and David, can you hear me?
Yes.
I can.
Okay, I asked that question, and in some situations, the unpaid wastewater charges may not be enforceable through a lien because of a legal technicality, conveyance of the property. So I was specifically asking about in those situations where liens are not an option. Does it take any sort of priority in the sort of hierarchy of collecting through TRECS? And it sounds like it doesn't.
Well, it would come, if you put it in your TRECS file, it would be, it's simply like any other debt you have. Is that what you're asking? Maybe I'm not understanding your question.
No, you're understanding. So it would just fit into the normal queue, kind of first come, first served after property taxes.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, April asked a question. Again, if I sign the letter agreement, letters will be sent out for me at $2 a letter. And that's correct, right? We offer that service. Nobody has to use it, but that $2 gets paid from the unit who asked for the letter service. And it's $2 still, right? We're not raising that for next year.
That's correct. It's still $2, and that $2 can be paid from postage. We checked in the very first year that we offered the service, and the Board of Accounts said they would not take exception to that letter service agreement being paid from the postage line item in your budget.
The next question is, do we send a warning letter to anyone who owes money, letting them know that we are using this process? If so, when do you usually send this letter? So you can always send a warning letter about you owe us money and this process is available. But once you submit their names and there is a match, they do get a letter at that point, and then they have time to come in and pay without any additional fee if they pay within, what, the 45 days?
Yeah. Say that again, David.
So any unit can always send a letter out that says this process is available.
Right.
But once you submit the names, they get another letter, or they'll get a letter that says, you know,
right.
X unit has matched you, you have 45 days to come in and pay before we reduce your rebate.
That's correct. You are most welcome to send out a courtesy letter or do a news release, some way to let the users out there know that if they don't pay the debt that's owed, that you will be sending them to offset their tax refund, or you may hold their tax refund. that is not a required letter anymore. The very first year we participated, it was. We got that removed of being a required letter. However, you're more than welcome to send that courtesy letter out. But if and when there is a match, you must send a notice within 15 days of the match to inform the taxpayer that you do in fact have their refund on hold. And remember, it's just all that we hold in that refund is the amount that it takes to pay the debt and the fees. So if a taxpayer has $500 refund and the amount that it needs to pay the debt is only 150, we only hold the 150 plus the clearinghouse fee plus the Department of Revenue fee. The remaining $300 would go out the door to that taxpayer. So we're only holding the portion that we need. That confuses a lot of taxpayers. They think that we didn't hold it because they got some and they maybe just made a mistake, but.
This next question you may have already answered to somebody else, but if they had files last year and they've turned them over to collection agency, when they upload their spreadsheet showing 0 on all those accounts, they don't have to do that, right? I mean, because last
Right,
year's
they just-
file was kind of done, right?
Right, they just need to remove those files out.
If they're with the collection agency still.
If they're sending it to a collection agency and everything that was paid that they received last year in full, that's 0 in their file, then those should be removed from their file for 2022.
Right, it just, the file can't be with the collection agency and with TRECS at the same time, right?
That's correct. The debt can only be collected by one place at a time.
Yeah, so you'll upload your new spreadsheets for anybody who owes debt that hasn't been turned over to collection agency. That's all you have to do. Yeah, so if somebody paid last year, you don't have to include their name this year if they're paid in full. You don't submit their name with a 0.
Correct.
Somebody asked a question. I didn't think sewer could be collected on TRECS, only water and electric. Now this applies to all local debt. Any debt owed to a local unit of government can be submitted. And they said we've changed banks this year. Who would we need to receive the updated form with our new bank information? That'd be Trust Indiana, right?
Right. Cynthia, are you on?
Yeah, Cynthia Barger, correct. Invest Indiana would be.
Yeah, you would need to
Okay,
contact.
can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, sorry, I'm calling in through my phone. Yes, so send me an email. I will send you a bank amendment form, and just know you have to have 2 signers. Either we have to contact your bank with 1 signer, or if you have 2 signers on your account, you can do that just by sending me the form. But email me.
Yeah, great question from Abigail asking if we do benchmarks reports for all your participants. We do, and schools have the highest rate of return, I would say, over 20%. But we can get the data to you on who submitted and how many hits they had and how much money came in through the door, voluntary payments, and how much was actually offset.
Just send me an email and I'll send it out to you.
But school debt has the highest percentage, and then after that is municipalities. And then another question, I would think you would first try to lien the delinquency first, but if technically unqualified to file a lien, the debt should be pursued through any other collections method. Not sure if that's a question or a statement from Sherry.
I need to unshare my screen.
And Rodney asked the question, is the state fee 15% again this year? Yes, it is. We've talked to them about lowering that fee, but to date, we haven't come to an agreement. They haven't reached lower it.
Had to talk to Dave about getting quotes and some other crap.
Somebody needs to mute, please.
Can we be in small claims and TRECS at the same time? You can only use TRECS if you're not pursuing another methodology, because The
But
concern
that's
with,
kind of a trick question. If you've received a judgment in small claims, if you're not in the process of small claims, but you've received a judgment that's sitting there, judgments are eligible to be put into the TRECS program. You can't be in the middle of the process at the same time. You can't be waiting for the judge to make a ruling. But once the judgment has been created and it's going to sit there for 10 years, that judgment is eligible for collection.
so if there are more than one person on a property that we are collecting for, can we put both names on the uploaded form?
Yes. And there, in the Excel spreadsheet, if you're using the Excel spreadsheet, the first column is name, the next column is first, middle, and last. If you use the name, the first column, column A, you would put the last name and then the first name of one and then the first name of the other. And that way we would look for both of those people when looking for social security numbers.
Next question, what is the minimum amount to submit? What's the minimum amount?
$25.
25.
I have a follow-up question to that. If
Okay.
we receive a payment 1 year and it reduces our balance to an amount that's less than $25, are we allowed to continue to leave them on or we need to take them off?
Yeah, you would have, it has to be 25 because it's a brand new year.
Okay.
So there's a question about the judgment. Do we, as the county treasurer's office, submit that judgment to TRECS, or does our collection agency submit that? We can't communicate with private collection companies. It has to come from the local unit of government. And is there still a possibility in the future to intercept federal tax refunds? We're always having those conversations. Again, it's not anything, definitely not for the next year or two, but we would have to work with the state because the state does submit their debt to the feds. But we would have to pursue legislation in Indiana and then the feds would have to allow that situation to occur. So yeah, that would really boost the program and the amount of refunds, but at this time we can't do it. And it's something we always talk about, but working with the feds is really difficult on that issue. But I'm glad you asked the question, and I'll definitely ask the State Department of Revenue what that process would look like if the feds allowed it. If 2 names are on there, we collect only on the first match? Question mark. If 2 names are on there, we collect only on the first match. How do we do that, Jackie? If it's
No, if there are 2 names on there, we look up both social security numbers. We'll file against both. We'll run against both social security numbers.
so if it's property owners that they file separately,
Then they would list both names and we would look up both social security numbers. Or it could be people filing separate.
Yeah. Has the county treasurer worked with TRECS with judgments? If so, please reach out to Treasurer Montgomery County. Yes. Marion County, the first year had, gosh, I don't know how many judgments we had on mobile homes. That was one of the best parts about the program, we thought initially, was on those judgments.
Erica just sent her the link or his email.
Yeah. Somebody asked, can you turn over prior debts? How old can the debt be?
So the debt can be as long as you statutorily can collect it. And the question, may we turn over prior debts we have with a collection agency for repeat debtors or only their new debt? You can use the old debt provided that you tell the collection agency no longer to collect it. Amy talked about going and pulling her debt back from her collection agency this year because she had, in the past, she averaged $15,000 a year at the collection agency that she received. And this year you saw she had, I think it was $90,000. So she is pulling her debt back from the collection agency to put in her file. And you can do that. You need to look at your agreement between you and the collection agency. But you can pull that debt back or tell them to suspend collection on it while you're using TRECS.
Each collection agency is different, but I think that's the phrase that people use is suspend it or freeze it. And then you don't have to resubmit it, right? So if you turn it over to them and then you told them to freeze during the TRECS season, for those you turn over to us, they can do that. That way you don't have to resubmit to the collection agency. But I think each collection agency is different, so.
There's a question that says, if we have two matches for one account, how do we prevent accidentally double charging for a debt? We will only pull the debt. While there may be two social security numbers tied to that debt, we will only hold enough to cover the debt. So we would not collect the same amount on two different ones unless you had two rows. That's why you would use the first column to put the last name and then the first name.
Funding for City of Fort Wayne, including utilities. So the Fort Wayne collection, that was just utility companies, right?
That was just the utility, yeah.
And so, yeah, just
That was
utilities.
just utility.
So somebody's brand new to the program with community corrections from Fayette County, so we can reach out to them, and maybe one of the counties who is a community corrections can work with Fayette County on answering any questions.
Deanne, if you would email me that same question, I'll give you a couple of the community corrections contact people that you can reach out to about setting the program up.
Okay, this is a really common question. Do we need to update our file each week, even if there is no change?
And the answer to that is yes. And the reason I say yes is that puts you in a habit that you know every Tuesday that you have to upload that file. And there won't be a Tuesday where you think, well, do I or do I not? It doesn't hurt anything that there's not a change and you would just submit the one you have. But we are asking that whether there's any changes or not, you do upload the file so that we know that you're sending us the latest information you have. If an agency submits two names for the same debt, the agency would need to keep track of who is offset for what amount. TRECS does not keep track of individual. Jessica, you want to come on and answer that?
People were asking in the chat a few times about multiple people for the same debt. So I just wanted to clarify in there that TRECS doesn't keep track of the individual debt, that the agencies that submit the debt, if they put multiple lines for the same debt, they need to keep track of who is offset for what. So if you have Jan and Joe both owe $1,000 together for one debt, but you put them on separately to see if you can hit on both of them, and they say the total for their offset separately is $1,500, the agency would then need to change the amount per person down to the $500 instead of the $1,000 that they owe, because TRECS doesn't keep track of the individual debt. And I hope that cleared up some of the questions that people had.
And she's correct. The way to avoid that is if you put both of their names, if Joe and Bob owe $1,000 jointly, you can in column A put Joe and Bob's names. And we will look at both of those and treat that as one row. Or you can put them separately, but if you list them separately for each $1,000, then if they both get a match, you would have to go in and lower the amount so that you were not collecting greater than the debt. The other advantage to keeping them on one row is they only pay one clearinghouse fee. If they're listed on two rows, they'll get two clearinghouse fees because it's treated as two separate debts. If they're on one row, and we can go after both of their social security numbers, it would just be one $20 fee.
So if a debtor moves out of state permanently, should we keep them in TRECS?
No,
And if they're not filing individual income tax refunds in Indiana, then no. I mean, you know,
it doesn't,
they may
it
move
doesn't,
out, but still, they still have to file in Indiana for maybe up to a year afterwards, but
Yeah.
generally, yeah.
it doesn't hurt to leave them in the file, because if they don't file a return, they're not going to match. And we don't know if they have income back here. Even if they move out of state, they may still have income here that they have to file taxes on. So it doesn't hurt anything. You know, if you want to leave them in there, it won't hurt anything.
I hope we got everybody's questions answered there. Is it best to include a father and mother on the same line, even if they have different mailing addresses? So is it best to include father?
And the answer that I'm going to say yes, to the extent that when there is a match, the file will show what address the refund came from. So you'll know which one it is and which address to mail the notification letter to.
We have a fact, yes, we can do that. Yeah, if you go to our webpage, there's lots of frequently asked questions and videos and information on there. If you have any specific, you can email Jackie. She can answer that. I do want to, for the new people, I do want to stress, we have very few people come in and file a complaint or appeal, but on occasion you could, right? Maybe it's a divorce situation, something like that. So you need to think about, and I think on our website, there's a form you can have the taxpayer fill out and kind of list their complaint. But Eric, you guys have been doing this the longest in Marion County. Do you have many people come in and ask for sort of an appeal situation?
No, I mean, most of the time people would essentially call us and try to dispute something or even ask an appeal. And at that point, we first ask their reasons or essentially what they're trying to say, if it's like a missing payment or it's because of whatever the reason may be, then we first look into it and then we decide whether or not we really need an actual sit down with other, essentially like a meeting in order to understand how we can actually go from there. But most of the time, we rarely have any appeals. We probably have at the most 1 or 2 appeals because most of them are answered prior to even getting to that point.
In the chat, somebody said they turned in somebody who'd moved out of state 2 years ago, but somehow they still got a match because they still were filing in Indiana. So that kind of references the earlier question about people who moved out of state. Should you still include them?
So I'm going to show my screen again here, because this is our website. You'll often hear me talk about our website, and it's indianacounties.org. And you'll see right here in the middle, there is a TRECS debt setoff button. If you click on that button, it takes us to the TRECS tool page. And some of these items that we've talked about are listed on here. The memorandum of understanding, that training video, there's a summary of the program. I talked to a vendor last week about the file layout and how it needs. I will be adding the letter service agreement in a couple of weeks after I send it out, in case you lose it. And these are some of the information and the direction that you get into the portal. So I just wanted to show you how easy it is to get to that site and how much information is there. And then there's one other question I wanted to answer. It has, which field do we use for the patient information if the grantor and the patient are different, or the guarantor and the patient are different? There are no separate fields for patient name only name and secondary name. I'm gonna presume from this question that we have a patient who isn't responsible for their debt, but someone else is, say a child and a parent. And we put the parent's name in because that's who's got the refund. We don't have a place for that patient name, but that's where your debt unique key on the row of debt comes into play in the program. The debt unique key that you have to put in is how you locate what patient, what debt this match would be for. And it's in all of our transmissions back and forth once we receive it. I mean, it's in your original file. It can be as simple as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or it can be in community corrections. They often use a cause number. In property taxes, they often use a property tax number. In schools, they use a student ID number. They're just whatever number that you can tie back to your debt. That would be where your patient information would come from. We don't need that in the file. Only the person responsible for the debt goes in the file. I hope I answered that question.
The question is, when we receive the information that there has been a match, do we have to send a letter to the individual stating this? Yes, you have to notify them the match has occurred. We could do that for you through a $2 letter service if you want, but again, that $2 does not come out of the refund. It's something you have to pay from your, whatever you pay for letter services or for notifying that somebody owe you money.
We bill that letter service once a month for the letters that you have, that we've sent out on your behalf. And a PDF copy of those same letters are downloaded into your portal. But that is the one required letter. The courtesy letter is not required, but the letter at the time of match is required.
Yeah, Jackie, this is Rhonda in Kosciuszko County. I just wanted to send out to the new people or the old people that are on the TRECS that you can change your file to be a lockbox file. If you have Lao tax like we do in Kosciuszko, I was able to upload that file right as a lockbox file when I get it from TRECS. So if anybody has questions on that.
Thanks, Rhonda. That's good to know.
Yeah, if anybody's just looking at the program, we can supply plenty of references for you from agencies similar to yours of people who use the program, and if you're looking to verification that the program works and is successful and not very labor intensive, really. Again, I just can't emphasize there's just not a more efficient way to collect debt than working with the Department of Revenue on this program.
Well, it looks like our chat box questions have slowed down.
It's almost 11, so.
And it's almost 11 o'clock. So I'm going to end this meeting and say thank you very much for taking the time out to participate. Please, please, please contact me if you have questions, concerns. I tease David often, but this is job security for me. If you contact me, there is no dumb question unless you don't ask it. So it's for those of you who are new, it takes a little bit of patience to get set up in the program. I'll not sugarcoat that, but once you do, I think it's very formidable and efficient for you, very cost effective, and is a great program that you can get into. You have my email address. All of you have my email address. On my email, it has my telephone or contact information. It's also can be found on our webpage. Again, thank you for participating, and to all of you, have a very happy holiday. Happy Thanksgiving to you all.
Thanks.